Hi, my name is Daniel, and I am the creator of GTMF, where I build long-term systems that give value and show results to people like myself, to people who want to learn, grow, and create lots of opportunities for themselves and for others as well. This session, I would like to call it MindSpire. MindSpire is a weekly review of books that I'm going to be reading because most of the time in the past, or still now actually, I am not the best at like reading books consistently. So MindSpire is a way for me to start reading books a lot more and just learning as much as I can from those books, using it to grow. I want to share the things I learned from those books with as much people as I can. So, welcome to MindSpire. And the first book that we're going to be reviewing is Think and Grow Rich. So now I know how this looks. Like another one of those long self-help channels that provide a lot of motivation, and for a while it works. You're motivated. That is until the flame burns out. And don't get me wrong, I too have fallen prey to a lot of self-help motivational channels that provide temporary highs and lows, basically dopamine stimulation to your mind. It works for a while, but then it is the dissatisfaction I felt when it all wore off. That's what caused me to create MindSpire. MindSpire, this video review, is me basically saying that I want to work on being consistent. I want to learn. I want to grow. I just want to be better in terms of knowledge, skills. Um, and one thing I've learned is that reading books is a surefire way of getting there, getting to the heights that we all want to attain. And so yeah, this MindSpire is where I read and break down and find value in very, very valuable books. So you don't have to. Yeah. So without further ado, let's get started with the preface. The preface. The preface. The preface. And Think and Grow Rich is a book written by Napoleon Hill. A book centered around what he calls the secret to wealth. Wealth, which so many of us want to achieve for a variety different reasons. For some, it's to take care of their families. For others, it's to stop worrying about where the next meal is going to come from. Some wants freedom, some wants recognition, some wants to just show off, you know. But whatever the reason might be, Napoleon Hill speaks about this secret. This secret that he has passed down to so many different people who have applied it and created wealth for themselves. A notable example is Charles M. Schwab, who reportedly built over $600 million $600 million. That's a lot, and that was like back in the old days. So 600 million should probably be worth 600 million back then. Probably had more purchasing power than right now, I think, or be like a lot more due to inflation and everything in the United States and in the world in general. So Charles M. Schwab reportedly built over $600 million by applying this secret. Napoleon Hill also states that there is a price to be paid for this secret, and it's not a monetary price, but it's a price of value. He goes on to say that this secret existed long before he was born, and that it once came into the possession of Thomas A. Edison, a man who left formal schooling after just a few months of being in school. And yeah, the price, the price, the price. Okay, I believe the price to be paid for this secret is nothing more than intentional effort and time. But here's the tricky part. Many of us already invest intentional effort and time into our jobs, into school, into obligations, yet we struggle to meet bills and often find ourselves with barely any time for the things we want to do, our families, ourselves, personal time. We barely have any time left to do other things. And so the question becomes, intentional effort and my time towards what? What should I put time and effort into to actually create this wealth that I want so much? Schooling versus education. Schooling via education. One thing I noticed is that Napoleon Hill differentiates schooling from education, and this distinction matters pretty well. Schooling is a structured system designed to produce uniform results, and most formal educational systems are built to reward conformity, not curiosity. Rarely measure intelligence through memory, speed, and obedience, and move everyone at the same pace, regardless of their strengths or learning styles. So, if you are someone who would rather learn by doing rather than listening, ask why too often. Think in systems, patterns, or creativity. Or you have an entrepreneurial and self-directed mindset. Sometimes school can feel suffocating instead of empowering, and which is also the reason that you might feel like weird asking some questions in class if you don't know, because you're faced faced with this um, mental pressure of what people are going to think about you. They'll be like, okay, this one is asking questions. Does he even have sense? Is he really intelligent? This guy doesn't have sense. He's not really doing it. Something like that can say a lot of things. That's how classmates can be back then, and sometimes teachers as well. Teachers can also just, although they say ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. When questions do come, sometimes they are not received in a way that invites some students to ask more. These are things that I have seen. These are things that happen in everyday life, in schooling system as well. So yeah, So that doesn't mean school is useless. It means it's optimized for a narrow definition of intelligence. Thomas Edison is a clear example. He lasted only a few months in formal school, not because he was incapable, but because the system could not accommodate how he learned. Edison wasn't anti-education. In fact, he loved learning. He just learned differently. And the same is true for many people today. Some thrive in traditional systems, others do not. Both are completely fine. You simply need to discover which environment allows you to thrive. Edison thrived when learning was self-paced, curiosity was encouraged, and knowledge was connected to real-world application. The same pattern exists today among self-taught programmers, traders and investors like myself, creators like myself, entrepreneurs, independent researchers, and people working in tech, design, and media. The real problem. The real problem today is that the system often prepares people to be employees, not thinkers, punishes failure instead of treating it as feedback, and teaches what to think, not how to think. So people who don't fit the mold are labeled not serious, not intelligent, not disciplined, when in reality they may simply be wired differently. So if you feel out of place in the schooling system, if you feel that maybe schooling isn't meant for you, I would encourage you not to think that way. I would encourage you to instead focus on the fact that maybe you just learn differently from how every other person learns. Maybe you need to take it slower. Maybe you need to develop your own system of understanding your teachers and then understanding yourself, how to put it all together. When you are taught in class, how do you really assimilate what you've been taught? How do you really understand? Can you explain what you've learned? Or are you someone who's more focused on applying rather than so much theoretical aspects? So these are things that you might need to find out about yourself, learn about yourself. And once you're done with all of this, you need to get to the balance. School is still useful, especially for structured professions like medicine, engineering, law, geology. It provides access to foundational knowledge, credentials, and networks. But school should be a tool, not an identity, and not the sole measure of worth. In closing, Napoleon Hill mentions that those who discovered this secret still face challenges in life. They learn to pause, to turn down a glass, which means to consider, to think. Just stay in thought and really think about yourself. Think about what to do. He says that these people were ready, knowing not just what to do, but how to do it. But it doesn't mean that you need to know it at once. Most times, you can also find security, you can also find comfort in the fact that you don't have to know every single thing. But then, gain some knowledge and start. You figure some things out along the way. You learn. Just like I'm doing here right now. I've never in my life done a YouTube video, but this is my first time, and I hope it turns out really well. Because, yeah, I guess. So, yeah. Okay. Like I said, start. He mentions that these same people, they had the needed stimulus required to make a start. That's very important. To finish off, Napoleon Hill leaves us with one direct clue. He leaves us with one direct clue. All achievements and all riches have their beginning in an idea. So yeah, think, create. The ideas that seem outrageous to you or outrageous to people around you might be something that could create lots of value for not just yourself but people around you, people who might need it. So don't just turn down those beautiful ideas that you have. Use them, bring them out, share, inspire, MindSpire, and create. So thank you. Thanks for watching episode 1 of MindSpire. Make sure to tune in next time. Give me a subscription, subscribe, and so you can see much more content that I'll be posting on a weekly basis. Thank you very much. Bye.